Minimal distractions that you can get lost in God and not be drawn back to this realm. You do your best that you can shut down. Billy Akoni, in one of his books, he was talking about his wife. I read that book 2005. The title of the book is No More Two. It's a book on marriage. I think I used to have a copy. It should still be in my library. And he was speaking about his wife, that when his wife wants to pray, that he didn't understand it at first, that she would take a shawl and put it on her head. Has anybody read that book? Eh? You remember that? You remember him saying that? You don't remember? She would take a shawl and put it on top of her head. To her, that's how she shuts the door. Are you with me? She would just wear the shawl on her head. She's trying to find a private place so that it is easy to find where God is dwelling. That place where God is, the Bible calls it a secret place. If you don't have a prayer altar where all the infrastructure of priesthood is properly aligned, you will not find a secret place. And if you were here on the first day, I told you about the infrastructure of priesthood. There is the priest, there is the altar, and then there is the sacrifice. It must be aligned. The one, 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 5, it says that we all are being built up as a spiritual house to offer what? Spiritual sacrifices. The believer is a priest. So you must approach prayer with the understanding that what you are doing is priesthood. So he that comes, I told you, I spoke about the priest extensively on the first day. Your heart, which is the altar, must be properly aligned. There cannot be flowing issues that are of carnality and lust, and then you are attempting to do priesthood before the Lord. The infrastructure will be damaged. In that sense, the first thing you need to do is deal with the matter of the priest. In some cases, the altar is broken down. Stones are gone. No wood anymore. There's nothing to put a sacrifice on. The altar is destroyed. Either you are inconsistent with time, either you have not determined that you want to do business with God, or you see, there's a sacredness with which you approach prayer. There's a sense of responsibility with which you approach prayer. God can tell when you are just doing it out of carelessness. There's no sacredness. There's no sense of responsibility when you come to prayer. A Christian that is living like that, your altar is broken down. It won't have the capacity to draw anything from the realm of God. And you know, dear brother, altars, every Christian spiritual altar is supposed to be a reference for God contact. What do I mean by that? Go and read scriptures. Anytime they made contact with God, what did they do? They'll build an altar. Let me see if I can find it. Exodus 17, give me verse 14 and 15. Exodus 17, 14 and 15. Let me see if that's a scripture I can use. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in the book and recount it in the hearing of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. 15. And Moses did what? Built an altar and called his name what? Jehovah Nissi. You hear the Bible say that Abraham built an altar unto the Lord that appeared to him. So altars are supposed to be references of the contacts you have made with God. So your prayer altar will be as potent as your ability to curate your spiritual encounters. As God encounters you, you turn those encounters into spiritual monuments that you can stand on to be able to engage God. You curate them. That's what Moses did here. He built an altar and he built it unto the one who is called the Lord is my banner. Same thing Jacob did when the Lord appeared unto him. He built an altar and he called the name of the place Bethel, the house of God. There was no building there, but he curated it because it was a reference to a God contact. I made contact with God here, so I have built an altar as a memorial. So every time I come, I am confident that God met me. If he met me before, he can meet me again. Some of us, our altars are broken down. That's why when Elijah wanted to draw a reality from heaven, the first thing he did was to repair the altar. If you made covenants with God and you are not keeping it, you have damaged your altar. You made vows to God, you are not keeping it, you have damaged your altar. Remember, it is the covenant that legalizes the spirit. It's the sacrifice that legitimizes the spirit. That's why the Bible warns us, do not be in a hurry to make an oath. Oh God, 2023, every 3 a.m., I'll be on my knees and pray for 4 hours. The day you were saying it, God heard and Satan heard. Then God will be coming every 3 a.m. The only problem is that you will never be there. Every time he comes, you're on the bed, dozing. Every time he shows up like that and he doesn't find you there, you have weakened your altar. You are telling the spirit realm that this altar does not have capacity to host and to legitimize the things that I have in mind. Go to the negative supernatural. If they tell Satan that 9:59 p.m. they will be there, they are never late. You know those spirits are not merciful. If you tell that spirit that 9:59 a.m. I'll be there, if I don't come, cut off my ear. He will not only cut off the ear, he will make sure another one cannot grow there. He might even cut off the second one so that you will not have ear to use to make covenant again. So the next time you want to make covenant, you will use your nose. He will cut it off. So when you want to tell your children the story, you will say, don't joke with this spirit. They say, why? You don't need to speak English. They are not merciful. But you see, we take God for granted because he's a merciful God. So we say things to God that we do not mean. And you see, when you are dealing with a spirit is well arranged. He's committed. If a spirit becomes committed to you, now you go beg. Don't you know that is why in Africa, one of the things we have to deal with is bloodline curses. If a spirit says, I'm committed to your family, you need to beg him. He will be so committed that even the people that do not want him, I'm committed to you. You need higher authority to be able to dislodge it. As long as the spirit has made commitment to you, he will be committed. When you do business with God, God is committed to you the same way. But many of us take it for granted. That's why our prayer altars are no longer potent. My emphasis tonight is on priesthood technology. You need to be sure that your altar stays vibrant. Keep covenant with God. Be committed to Him. I've been saying it for years. Purity is a weapon of war. Be pure in your thoughts. Be pure in your life. Be pure in your actions, in your motives. You are a priest. If you appear to perform priestly functions and you are contaminated, you have weakened your altar. You have weakened your altar. Be pure. Luke chapter 9, give me verse 28. Luke chapter 9 and verse 28. Now it came to pass after 8 days, about 8 days after these sayings, that he took Peter, John, and James and went up to the mountain to what? So even as Jesus knew solitary prayer, he also knew how to pray in a group. There are seasons of your life. In fact, as long as you are living, you must commit to solitary prayer, individual prayer. But part of the way we draw strength is that we must know how to take advantage of corporate prayer. Sometimes you come weak to a prayer meeting, and it's one prayer point that God will use to blow wind into your sails. You know the way I learned the way of prayer? I joined prayer band in school. When I began to find God again, 300 level, I just found out that the only place that was attracted to me, I was in drama, I was in choir, in fellowship. But one place that I could not resist the pull was prayer. And we had a prayer leader that time, that when that very thin brother like this, but when he wants to pray, I used to look at him and say, does a human being pray like this? Benin guy. I don't know whether I was left-handed, but once he puts his left leg in front like this and bends, you are finished. We will pray, pray, pray. And I used to wonder. I said, no, I want this thing. I want it. I knew that if I become a casual seeker, just once in a while they come and pray in church, and I say, no, I won't learn anything. So I went. I joined them. I began to stretch myself. At first, once I prayed 1 hour, my brain will shut down. I'll be thinking of all kinds of things. You don't know. You're in prayer meeting, you are thinking of rice. And your lips are moving. People see you, they think you are praying, but it's what you will eat when you get to the room. I could not exceed 1 hour. My mind will shut down. But the longer I stayed in that company, I will hear some strange prayer points. I will be afflicted. That's how I learned the way of prayer. I remember we came to prayer meeting. We were trying to improve people's commitment to prayer and fellowship. So we gathered money as prayer band people. They used to call us prayer band. And then we said, a carpenter should make a prayer box for us. And we gave him money. Student money, hard-earned money. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, he refused to bring prayer box. And the prayer man came to a meeting that evening, and he put his left leg in front. And he said, tell the Lord, whether he's sleeping, whether he's eating, whether he's walking on the road, let him be seeing prayer box pursuing him. I assure you, the next day the prayer box came. The man ran with the prayer box to our fellowship. He ran. We saw God do strange things with prayer. And now carried that spirit to our drama meeting. We now had a group of people in our drama group we called Uninterrupted Power Supply. Some of them are still, all of them are still alive till now. We saw strange things. We were praying one day in one of the lecture rooms. Rain began to fall. We did not know rain was falling. No, not the lecture rooms. I think the boys' quarters. We were praying in the rain. We held our hands like this. We had left this realm. I'm not exaggerating. When your altar, when your priesthood technology works, spirit realities will be escaping from the realm of God. Then you can really become a router of God's presence. If you made covenant to God, keep it. If you made commitment to God, keep it. If God has told you, I need you to be up, do you know that that's why some of you At certain times, either late night or early hours of the morning, demons are pressing you. Because that time is a time that you are supposed to be up and praying. It's a time you are supposed to be praying. Especially if the thing continues to happen in a cycle at the same time. If I were you, I would turn that time to a time of intercession. A time of intercession.